All right, let's get into Friday feedback, where we review feedback from the audience that comes in via email, YouTube comment, Twitter reply, TikTok direct message. Actually, I don't know about TikTok direct message. Probably not. I don't think we get any messages of this on TikTok. In any case, you can email info@davidpakman.com if you have something to say, and it might be featured here on the show. Let's start with Marvin Williams. Marvin wrote on Facebook, "You can say what you want. The truth is, under Biden, there is a real threat of war, a war that might be fought on American soil. It is a threat, a real threat. It should be taken seriously. This should be the main concern of the American citizens. Under Trump, that serious threat wasn't there. Despite what you think about him, he might be a racist, he might be a liar, and he might even be a thief. I'll give you everything you say he is. This country was, for the most part, safe from outside invaders. Prove me wrong." Well, just asserting that there's a real threat of war on U.S. soil under Biden doesn't make it so. And this is yet another person who has complete backwards understanding of burden of proof. Marvin is saying we didn't have a threat of domestic war under Trump, and we do have a threat of domestic war under Biden, but they've provided no such reason to believe that. I happen not to believe that. I can't think of any reason why now we are almost about to be invaded somewhere because of Joe Biden being president. And in fact, as is often the case with these things, remember when Obama was going to put everybody in FEMA camps, and then Obama wasn't going to leave office, and then he wasn't going to do the election. And of course, all of those things just happened. Everything was normal. They were running out of time, and they're running out of time now. I remember when Obama was confronted towards the end of his presidency by some guy about how he wants to take everyone's guns. And he said, "We haven't taken anybody's guns, and I'm about to leave office. So it just doesn't even make sense." If Biden has some plan to allow us to be invaded, or if people are planning to do it, Trump might win. So anybody who's planning to invade because the country is weak under Biden is really running out of time to do it. So none of these things make any sense at all. And the burden of proof is backwards. If you believe we're about to be invaded because Biden's made our borders weak, then you have to tell me who's going to do the invading and what evidence you have to believe that. All right, let's look at a couple of these from Reddit. IJ says, observation. I live in a deep red state and see next to zero Trump stickers, flags, yard signs, etc. In the previous election cycle, there was an absolutely disgusting and overwhelming display of Trump swag where I live. Douchebags would drive around in big pickups flying up to 4 huge Trump flags. There were huge signs on people's property, regular yard signs aplenty in the suburbs, bumper stickers galore, and MAGA hats everywhere. This cycle, there is next to no visible support for Trump. The loudmouths are strangely silent. There are even comments of disdain for Trump now and again. Biden swag is even more rare, but there's a small noticeable uptick. Is Trump's support lower than the media is letting on? So, as I've said before, we must take this election seriously with the polling at face value. It's close. Recently, American presidential elections have come down to 500,000 or fewer votes, often 250,000 or fewer, in 3 to 5 states, often 3 states. 2020 came down to 112,000 votes in 3 states. We have to assume that that's the way it will go because that's the way it's been in the United States lately. However, it is possible, and there are some signs that suggest even plausible or likely that this is going to be an absolute blowout against Donald Trump, that he lost 2020 already, and he is in a worse position today than he was in 2020. If he lost 2020, how could he possibly win this time around? That's not an illegitimate interpretation of this forthcoming situation. But we must vote, assuming it will be close, because otherwise we risk our own destruction. Along these same lines, user ILTNT3342 says, are Democrats being too pessimistic about Joe Biden's chances? Of course, this election is going to be close. Yes, there's a plausible chance Trump can win. With that said, when I talk to other Democrats, there seems to be a major sense of doom and gloom, as if people have already accepted defeat and expect Biden to lose. There are a few things that are keeping me hopeful. Trump lost the popular vote twice, and Biden already beat him once. Trump has done nothing between 2020 and now to grow support with independents. His base is fired up, but it's not enough. 2020 election was before January 6th, and I know of several Republicans who finally turned on Trump after that. Also, seeing the support Nikki Haley got in the primaries suggests some moderates are done with Trump. Midterms and special elections have been decent for Democrats, including in battleground states. And lastly, sorry, but I don't buy for a second that a criminal conviction will help Trump. Now, I do fear Biden's 2020 coalition has softened, as many Dems aren't thrilled with him, but hope people come to their senses and realize what is at stake. That's the case that I have been making, which is, yes, the enthusiasm behind Biden may not be as effervescent and explosive as we might hope. But if you start with where Trump was in 2020 when he lost, and you think about what's happened, it's not a great thing for Donald Trump. Australian Social Democrat wrote on the subreddit a message saying progressives who oppose Biden are egotists. There are 161 million registered voters in America. A candidate for president cannot go up to you specifically and ask what policies you would like to see in government and enact them. An election is not an Uber, it's a bus. It won't take you exactly where you want to go, but it will travel roughly near your destination. You can't go up to a bus driver and say, take me where I want to go, disregarding everyone else. In the same way, you can't expect a politician to make all the policies you want them to. And it's not okay for you to disregard all the actual human beings who will be left off in a worse condition under a Trump presidency because your privileged ass won't feel the difference. The entire point of a democracy is our leaders need to listen to the majority, not just you. You aren't the center of the world. Anti-Biden progressives are egotists. You know, I get the point this person's making, but it's not egotistical to say, I don't like the policies of a candidate, so I won't vote for them. I think what this person is pointing towards is it's assumed correctly that on almost every issue, Biden is way closer to the political beliefs of a lot of these people saying, I'm not going to vote for him, than would Trump be or RFK. If you start from the fact that they acknowledge, I like 85% of Biden or 80 or 90 or whatever, 95, but I don't like that he didn't do more student loan debt forgiveness, or he didn't raise taxes on the rich, or Israel, Gaza, whatever about Israel, Gaza. The problem for me is, well, you're going to help someone you'll dislike even more. And it's less about egotistical thinking, the way this individual points out, and more about illogical thinking. The getting on the bus to get close to where you want analogy is still a good one, but I think it's less about egotism. Jeremy Bazier wrote on Facebook, I think he's been lying for so long, referring to Trump. I think he's been lying for so long, he physically can't tell the truth anymore. Look at him when he tries. He seems uncomfortable. I suspect it causes him actual pain. I think it's more complicated. People like Trump, it's not that they can't tell the truth. They lose a connection to what the truth even is or means. Pathological narcissistic liars often lose connection with what the truth means. I wouldn't be surprised. There are things Trump says that he knows he's lying. But there are others where it's kind of like, I think he's convinced himself of that. Black unemployment was the lowest under Trump. Well, that's not true. It was lower under Biden. But I think Trump probably does believe that. And if you confronted him with the numbers about Biden, he'd say, well, these numbers are doctored or whatever. It's all wrong. But I think he probably has convinced himself of that. On the other hand, it is also the case that there really haven't been consequences to Trump for lying. And so when there aren't consequences, whether you believe your own lies or not, why wouldn't you keep telling them if you perceive it to be useful? Creflo $50 says on YouTube, so now Packman and resistance liberals are cheering right-wing immigration policy when Biden does it. Blue MAGA really is a cult. No, this is totally deranged. So let me tell you what this is about. Recently, Republicans came up with a bill for border security. And then Trump said, no, don't do it. Don't go for it. I need to keep this as a problem, which I can then try to solve when I become president. So Republicans end up turning against their own border security bill. Joe Biden then went and signed an executive action where if the number of undocumented crossings or asylum seekers gets to a certain level, they shut down the border and say you have to apply for asylum in your country and then only come over if approved. Okay. I did not say I love this law. I love this executive order. In fact, I was clear. I said, this doesn't get at the root of the problem. I understand the political strategy of Joe Biden throwing up a phone and going, hey, I can get done something you guys want. And you guys had the opportunity, but you failed. And now I'm getting it done. I acknowledge the political strategy. But I said in the segment where I covered it, go and fact check me. I said, this doesn't deal with the problems that force people to want to come to the United States undocumented. This doesn't deal with the asylum seeking scenarios of violence and everything else that make people say, hey, I'm going to try to go to the United States. It doesn't deal with visa overstays. It doesn't deal with the fact that we really need way more immigration judges able to quickly adjudicate asylum claims at the border. I was very clear. I'm not cheerleading this. This is just a bone to throw to Republicans of, hey, you guys wanted to do this. Now you've got it. Come up with the next reason why you won't vote for Biden. But I don't think it's good policy by itself. And if you want to include, I've said before, if we can get comprehensive and permanent immigration reform done by throwing them a bone of building some border wall, do it. Okay. But it's got to be part of a comprehensive plan to permanently deal with a bunch of these different issues. Tim Bretthauer says, we don't have a history of presidents committing so many crimes while in office. We don't have a history of presidents trying to block a voting result. They love to complain about how unprecedented the cases are, but ignore how unprecedented the actions are. Yeah. You know, people like Eric Trump and Jason Miller and all the people that surround Trump online and elsewhere, they love to say they've never done this to a president before. We've never seen a president charged, indicted, convicted. Right. Okay. Fair. But we've never had a president who did the things Trump did. So any sensibly thinking person knows your outputs are based on your inputs. If your inputs are presidents who don't commit crimes, your output will be presidents who don't get convicted. If all of a sudden you say, well, we're going to do something different, we will have a president that commits crimes, well, then it would be logical that the outcome, the output of this math equation is a president that gets themselves convicted. So they love that one. They think it's really a clever one, but it's not. We did a poll at the David Pakman Show YouTube channel, which said in the long run, Trump's conviction will, 41% of you said Trump's conviction will be a major deciding factor in the 2024 election. 41% of you. 25% of you believe Trump's conviction will hurt Trump somewhat, but not enough to be a decision maker in the election. 18% of you said that Trump's conviction will activate his base and end up helping him. And 16% of you said that it will be essentially a non-factor. So what's interesting about this is that a plurality, 41%, believe that Trump's conviction will be the deciding factor in the November election. On the other hand, 59% in total believe that whether or not it has some impact, it won't ultimately be the deciding issue in the election. Very interesting. That's based on, wow, look at that. 123,000 of you voted in our poll. Check out the next poll on the community tab at the YouTube channel, which I hope you are also subscribed to. Thanks to everybody who wrote in, info@davidpakman.com. Remember that you can get all of my children's books, including the newest one, Think Like a Voter, at davidpakman.com/book. Check it out, become a member, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll see you on the bonus show.